with our lead guest being a good friend, Daryl Braden, a former basketball player at UAB and a professional ball player across Europe. That very first year, we had some very interesting guests. A lady from Turkey. How she got hold of us, I don't know, but she'd written a children's book and she was a guest on the show. A man from Ghana. The first year of TWT, as I mentioned, we had Daryl Braden, we had the actor Michael O'Neill, we had the musician Cheryl Jones, Professor Randall Horton, Film Florida executive John Lux, author Sam Hayes, Eric Jones and his 25 Days of Christmas, Paulette Dilworth from UAB, Chief Ann Tucker, Chief of the Muskogee Nation of Florida, the Auburn Football Reunion Show with Shug's Boys in order of age, myself, Mitzi Jackson, Sullivan Walker, and Reese McCall, Georgia Chief Justice Harold Melton, Maurice Hobson, Professor, Hollywood consultant Tom Noonan, Dr. Jorge Ibar, who's a professor at Texas Tech, Pat Eddington, good friend, and Kenneth Kelly, bank chairman. Our G-List guest today is in celebration of our 300th episode of TWT. We'll have a roundtable discussion with the TWT team, who I am proud to say the team today have been together throughout all 300 episodes. So we look forward to that conversation. Our show today, of course, is brought to you by the consulting firm of Best Girl Inc. So let's hear from Best Girl.
Best Girl is a consulting firm that provides customized leadership, access and inclusion, public relations, communications, and organizational consulting services. Clients include Fortune 500 companies, utilities, higher education institutions, small businesses, and associations. Best Girl's team of consultants, led by Joyce Gilly-Gossam, Emily Hedrick, and Sean Jones, partners with business and education clients to promote organizational effectiveness, communication, motivation, and leadership, with always an impact on the bottom line. Best Girl's customized consulting services include strategic planning, corporate communication, executive coaching, fundraising, and economic development.
Is to customize a solution that fits your needs. So let's go to our round table and see what Barbara Wallace Edwards and Michael Walker have for us this morning. Good morning, Barbara Wallace Edwards and Michael Walker. How are we doing this morning?
Doing well.
Good
Morning to you both.
Good morning to you all.
So if y'all don't mind, I'll start this off. I got one for you guys. So in Destin, this guy decided, Destin, Florida, that he would, have you ever put a message in a bottle and thrown it in the ocean? He put a message in a pickle jar, threw it in the ocean in the Gulf here in Destin. 650 miles later, somebody found the pickle jar with the message in it. Where Destin is in the Gulf, the pickle jar was found in Boca Raton, on the other side of the island, on the other side of the peninsula in Florida. And I thought that was interesting because when we were in Los Angeles, Joyce and I put a message in a bottle and threw it in the Pacific Ocean. No, it's never turned up. And that was about 20 years ago. So we don't know what happened to it. But when I read this about the pickle jar and the guy 650 miles, there's no telling where that one is that we put in the water 20-something years ago.
And what was the message?
His message, let's see, what was his message? He had a message that said, doesn't say, said he did it because he thought it would be funny. He says, I can't believe it went all the way around and looked like that. That's pretty neat.
Something to say how long it took before someone found this message?
He put it in January.
Okay.
So I
That's
guess that's what, 8
interesting.
months or so?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
A
That's
Yeah.
little
that's
better than 20 years,
interesting.
huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
And someone may have found yours and yours Joyce's message as well and just didn't respond. But yeah, that is interesting.
Hmm.
Very
Yeah,
interesting.
we threw it in there. So, yep. I thought that was interesting.
It is.
The other thing I want to just tell you guys quickly is we did I think Tania Stewart, who I worked with on In the Heat of the Night, is putting together an acting a consortium of people in Alabama who can be available to work in the movies in all different phases of the movies. And in the movie business, you not only have actors and directors and producers, but you have truck drivers and so on and so forth because of all the stuff that needs to be moved and go on so forth. So Tania is putting together a crew, actually, a cast and crew, people who will be available to work in movies. And so they had a world premiere of a movie called Where Is Your Faith? And it was at the Capri Theater in Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
And that theater was packed.
Wow.
There were people everywhere. And Montgomery turned out for it. It was proud. Tania did a great job. And so we'll see where it goes from here. But it was great. I got to go with my friend Stefan and his wife, Chakoti. And so it was a good evening. So.
That's good.
So now, Tom, the talent pool that they're putting together, is this to go mainly to Hollywood or wherever, like Atlanta?
They want to bring movies to Alabama. They want movies to be set in Alabama. You know, we talk about Atlanta being the movie capital of the South, but that, in my opinion, that started with Carol O'Connor and In the Heat of the Night.
Yeah.
And it has grown from there. And then what's his name set up his studio there.
Tyler Perry.
Yeah. And so it's grown from there. But I did a study because I was proposing that we do a studio down on the Gulf Coast. And between Atlanta and New Orleans, there were no film studios. And so if you wanted to get something done, you had to go to New Orleans or go to Los Angeles or go to Atlanta. Right. And so this would be a coup for the state of Alabama if, in fact, it can continue to grow.
I hope it does.
Just from the number of people who were there, it was pretty incredible to see that in that theater. I'd never been to the Capri Theater. So, and apparently it shows a lot of art films and stuff. And so it was a great event. They did a really, really good job.
Very good.
Okay, cool. You know, I found myself being entertained. You know, some people look at the news and they get all upset and stuff. I've now looked at it from a standpoint of entertainment and what have you. And it just kind of breaks up the monotony because you have to just stop and say, is this really America with all the great leaders that we've had? And this is the person now that's leading our country. And, you know, it's just comical. Like, for instance, that reflecting pool. And I don't know what he was doing with it. I really don't understand what the whole thing about, you know, he goes in, he wants to change everything around. And then when it messes up, it's somebody else's fault. Thus the reflecting pool. And I understand it was a non-negotiable contract, or I should say negotiated, because there was no competition.
Yeah.
It was somebody he wanted to give it to, one of his cronies. And they went in and just completely screwed it up. And Trump kept coming up with all these elaborate lies.
So you don't call it anything else. It was a lie. Go ahead.
Elaborate lies about it being vandalism and this and stuff, and we're going to prosecute people and all of this type of stuff. And it turns out it was shoddy work. And one of his hand-picked lawyers, who's a judge now, I think she's over DOJ or whatever name, her name Pereiro, she was another television personality.
Right.
She's decided to do her job and say, we got to dismiss this. It was no vandalism at all. It was shoddy work. He said she choked.
Right. He doesn't mind. He doesn't mind contradicting them.
No, he'll throw him on the bus in a heartbeat. He don't care.
How can you work with someone like that when you're sitting here and you have a certain amount of ethics to uphold to keep your professional license? There's certain things you can and cannot do. Right. And now you're working for a man who doesn't give a damn about that stuff.
Nothing. And he don't care about anything or anybody else. It's all about him. Whatever he wants, whatever he thinks, that's supposed to be the way it goes.
It's all about revenge, too.
Yes, a lot of it is revenge. But
who he feels wronged him. But if you look at his history and you go back to his history in New York, this is the first group of people who didn't like being involved with him, who didn't like working with him. That is pretty much how he operated. And so I don't know. Why. Just, one of the things I thought about looking back over doing 300 episodes, which has been about 5 years, 6 years or whatever. And one of the questions I thought would be interesting for us to answer is, what do you see as having changed in our lives over the past 5 years? Well, now that's an easy answer.
Very easy.
It's just really, and he keeps going back to, they can't even say he lost the 2020 election. They can't say that because he'd get upset. And I always thought there was some shady stuff that went on in the election between him and Mrs. Clinton.
Absolutely.
That's when, quote, the Russians were supposed to have been involved. So on and so forth.
And the one with him and Kamala Harris, I still say that there's some shady stuff going on with that one as well. I mean, everything he's involved in, I just think is underhanded somehow. If he doesn't win, if he's not winning, he will find a way to make himself win.
If he doesn't win, it was stolen. If he wins, it's legitimate. So.
Right.
We literally have an 8-year-old in the White House. I mean,
Michael, I think that's a disgrace to an 8-year-old. Let's go back to a 3 or 4-year-old because
somebody said he was like a 5th grader, and they said, "Don't do that to 5th graders."
5th graders, right? He's definitely not smarter than a 5th grader.
I mean,
I'm like you though, Michael. I don't watch it much, and if I it's like the whole thing with Fauci, however you pronounce his name.
Mm-hmm.
What are you fussing about? I mean, and if his lawyer told him not to answer, then he's smart not to answer.
Right.
Shit. I mean, that's what you have a lawyer there for.
Right.
And, so I don't know. It's like, I don't even want to know what they're talking about because it's stupid. It's silly.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, but that's what the Fifth Amendment is about, is not to be able to self-incriminate yourself. You don't have to. And so, it's interesting that he only wants to use the Constitution when it benefits him. When it doesn't benefit him, he wants to change it to it so that it does. But if somebody else implements it and takes advantage of it, then that's all wrong. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And
didn't Trump himself plead the Fifth like 440 times during the inquiry? I mean, so it was okay for him to do it, but it's not okay for someone else to do it.
Well, Reagan did it, remember?
Yes, Reagan did it as well.
Around Contra, he did it. Mm-hmm. He said, "I don't recall. I don't remember."
Mm-hmm.
So
But now you could believe that Reagan didn't recall because he had one speech where he was talking about riding down the highway in Los Angeles. He was wagging his head, and then he just went blank.
Tom, you say he was wagging his head.
He was.
And then he just went silent. And everybody in the country was sitting there watching it going, what's going on? He ain't saying nothing. But he was wagging that head back and forth. I don't know. You know, I go back to Joe Biden because I didn't have a problem with Joe Biden. But that night he did that debate. He screwed up. He screwed up big time.
Right.
But he ain't the only one. I mean, like I said, Reagan was sitting there wagging his head and wasn't saying nothing for like 2 minutes, you know? It's like, well, when's he gonna say something?
He forgot what he was talking about.
In fact, Donnie, but I tell you what, the Iranians have got his number, man.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
So I forget now what this phase is now. They're getting ready to do something new here. And they're renegotiation that they've already renegotiated.
Yeah, Trump says they're renegotiating it. The Iranians is like, we're not.
That's what I was saying. Trump keeps coming out here like he's setting the tone for the negotiation, letting everybody know he's in charge. We're gonna talk about so, and then the very next minute, the Iranians, no, we're not.
No, we're not. No.
I mean, that is such a poor example of leadership. When is he going to figure out that you cannot negotiate with them in the media? Okay. Right. And most people that realize how you get deals done, you don't try it in the media. You maybe plant little seeds and do stuff to sway public opinion, but you don't just straight out detail negotiate in the media, which is what he does. You don't telegraph what you're going to do and stuff. So he sabotages himself, actually.
His own self, yes. Did I hear correctly that he has now asked some of the head military leaders, not the generals, but people even underneath them, for their suggestions of how to retaliate against the Iranians because he should have done that
from the very start.
Exactly. He's not going to listen to them anyway, so I don't even know why they're asking.
About going back to Obama, even going back to Bush or whatever, whenever there's a conflict, they always put the people who were the experts out in front and let them do the talking, let them do the negotiating. What the guy said, he's got a real estate salesman and his
son-in-law.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's like but you hit it on the head for me, Michael. I watch it every now and then, but I've gotten to the point where it's pretty much a joke, and that way I can laugh at it and not be upset.
If it doesn't come across my news feed on my phone, I don't watch the news, period. I rarely turn the TV on, to be perfectly honest with you. I do is to watch a movie or something, but it's really sad these days.
I saw with this guy, I don't know if you guys, there's a film group called Angel Studios.
Yes.
And they do films that have more of a Christian type slant, you know.
Right.
It's do good type films, and it really is uplifting.
Yes.
It helps you morale or whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, the guy who plays that role pretty much, his parents live down here, and Joyce has had a relationship with his parents, and he has come out totally against this administration. And I asked Joyce, I said, well, how does his parents feel about it? She said they're Trumpers all the way, and so they're pretty much at odds with each other in terms of how they see this whole thing. And I don't know.
I don't understand how people can still support this man. I mean, after all of these things that we see, every day. We don't even watch the news consistently, but people that watch the news and see what he's doing every day, how can they still support him? I don't understand. There's no logic there.
Well, I think part of it is, and I know there's certain segment that disagree with him and they see it, but they want to show unity and support him because he's the president, and they're like, you're rooting against the president if you don't. And so, and then I think, and those are the people that do not understand how you can have a constructive disagreement or criticism of whatever leader that's in charge for the good of the all and stuff. And so they get confused by that, Then you got the other fragment of the population that really doesn't understand and don't know any better, and then you got those of us that are fighting against it. But he has such a chokehold. I have never, it's almost like those Jim Jones of the world and all those people, those
like
evangelists, how they get people in a cult. That's what you have here with Trump.
Exactly.
Because things that you looking and see and you see with your own eyes, and that you see what you see or you hear what you hear.
Right.
But then there's this whole different interpretation that is like leaving you out there in no land because you don't know what's going on in other words. And it's that group of people you're talking about that will go with him. Like Tom said, they can't get up in front of Congress and say, yes, he lost the 2020 election for fear of retaliation. Now, if you got to go into a job like that, I think my pride would tell me, okay, that's all right. This is a job I just don't need.
Yeah,
exactly.
I know.
I got to be true to myself.
Right.
And it looks as though the people who seem to get in the most trouble in his administration get in most trouble are women. Now this, what is it, Perot? How you say her name or whatever?
Jenny Perot.
Yes. Perot, yeah.
She looks like she'll be the next one to get to act. I don't know. I agree with you, man. It's like you've gone to school all this time, you've worked all these years and so on and so forth, to go to work for a man who's gonna fire you because you tell the truth, or who wants to file a charge against James Comey because James Comey was doing his job,
right?
Or who will tell a lie about a reflecting pool. First of all, you don't even need to be involved in that,
in a reflecting pool. I'm the president of the United States, and I'm going to oversee the construction or rehabilitation of the reflection pool. What does that sound like?
It's insane. It sounds insane, Michael. And that's what it is. Again, he's covering statues in Washington, D.C. in gold. They were bronze, and he wants them gold. Those little minute things that he shouldn't have anything to do with is what he's spending his time working on. When he should be trying to figure out how to get out of this war in Iran. Those are important things, or how to lower the cost of groceries and gas in this country.
Let me run this by you too. Let me run this by you guys. Did you hear the latest about what they're going to do involving this NIL thing? Whereas people or students that were in the 2022 high school graduating class are going to be given an extra year of eligibility.
I did see that.
They're going to go back and give that back to them. Now, what you have, though, are some of them that have gone on to play in the Canadian Football League or they've gone, and some of them may have even gone to the pros. They may not be a starter, but they may be on the practice squad, or somewhere like that. So now they get an opportunity to come back. All right. So now the coaches are sitting here, and this guy, I just recruited Tom Gossam. He's a high school All-American and stuff, 5-star wide receiver. But I got Cash Jones over here that played at Georgia, won a national championship, and he's in the pros, but he can come back for an extra year. I'm going to bring him back, and Tom, you got to sit on the bench for another year.
Right.
Okay? Because I'm going to put Cash Jones in here because he knows some NFL secrets and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Woo, man, I tell you, well, maybe Jeremy Johnson will come back. He's been playing in the Mexican League, so
Yeah.
maybe he
Yeah.
come back and do another year of college. Oh man, it's crazy.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's ridiculous.
It is
Okay.
ridiculous. I don't know. These, like I said, I
One
don't
thing
know.
that I've
Hey,
heard
where
that I think one thing I've heard I think makes sense is that they're talking about put a cap on it. So like, schools just can't go out. Like for instance, I saw something here recently where they did a poll of the top spenders in this year for NIL. I guess to say the top 10 or something like that.
Right.
And I think it's Texas or either Ohio State leading the way with spending like 40-something $million. Okay. And you got a couple of well, I shouldn't say a couple, quite a few SEC schools in there, but they're further down. I think Alabama's like 36 or somewhere like that. And I don't know, maybe Georgia. I don't know, Georgia's been kind of lagging. I've seen something like 28 or whatever. Auburn's 28 and a couple other teams that are in there, But
you say they're 28, the 28th what rank in terms of
28 million
NIL.
they spent. They
Oh,
NIL.
okay.
Auburn had a budget of about $28 million that they spent. There's probably maybe 5 or 6 SEC schools that are right there in that high 20s, low 30s area.
I got a question about the NIL. Is it public how much an individual player gets?
I think it is, but I don't know where it is.
Yeah,
in other words, because
Because
they're now employees of the university. Okay, by doing that, so you can see what other employees of the university makes. As long as it's not private.
Right.
So, but it is publicized. A lot of times they try and keep it undercover until after the year has passed, or if the kid is transferred, like for instance in Cam Coleman's situation, we all knew he was getting paid pretty high, but we didn't know it was like $1 million plus, in other words, and
I think that probably NCAA probably tracks it somewhere, but I don't know where it is. I don't know where they keep that information.
But supposedly this guy that just went to Tennessee, supposedly it's supposed to be maybe about $5 million or something like that for him.
And if I'm playing right tackle and I'm getting $500, $1,000, and this guy's playing left tackle and he ain't worth for shit, and he's getting 4 or 5 million, that's gonna cause a lot of issues on the team.
Right. It
is. And I think that was one of the issues, not this past year, but the year before when it first came out, when we had Arnold, I guess, whoever was trying to be quarterback. And I don't know. I think they need to get that fixed pretty fast.
But, it could be a problem because they got Congress getting involved. So you know how that could get screwed up.
Well, then it'll be a problem. You'll have a lot of things.
It's going to be a bigger problem now.
Just like I said earlier before the show, these two guys weren't going to vote for. They made all this big stance that they wasn't going to vote for the Blanche, and they wasn't going to do this. Blanche was this, that. Now, when it gets down to the nitty gritty, it's like, well, yeah, we going to go with Blanche. We going to go with him.
Well, see, part of that, though, is they gave themselves an out, is what they did, because they kept saying he needs to put it in writing that this bailout of $1 billion in the IRS is off the table. If he put it in writing. So I knew right then they were angling for a way for them to be able to say, okay, I did some hard negotiation, and at least we took that away from Trump. Because initially Trump was saying, well, that's all right. I'll just leave Blanche out there to dry, and then when they lose and get out, I come back and bring him back the next year. Is what he was saying and stuff. So I could see that they were jockeying, to give them an opportunity. And then supposedly all of a sudden they put something in writing and stuff. So now they can say
put something in writing.
Yeah. That was so they put it in writing.
That doesn't necessarily mean anything, but okay.
Well, they had the Iran war solved in writing. And
Yeah.
that,
We know where that went.
how long did that last? From Monday to Tuesday?
Right. It wasn't even 24 hours.
So,
Trump keeps saying you can't negotiate with these people. These people are crazy.
But he's in negotiations with them now, huh? Yeah.
It's so funny for him to say that. Because see, that's how he treat other people.
right.
You know how Tom used to say a team in basketball that does a full court press, they don't like to be pressed themselves, you know?
Right.
So,
Right.
and that's the same thing right here with Trump. Trump like to act crazy and stuff in negotiations and
Right.
stuff. And now Iran is out crazying him.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
These
And
little
I
Lego
don't
movies
know.
they've been putting out about
You
him,
know,
it's hilarious.
When this war started,
Hmm.
somebody in the military had to say, you know, well, you might not want to do that because they could end up blocking the passageway,
I'm sure
and
they
that would
did.
cause all kinds of problems.
I'm sure they did.
So, if in my cabinet nobody brought that up, then I'd fire them off. No,
The problem is they probably said it, Tom, and he dismissed
yeah, they
it.
did.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure somebody said it,
Yes.
or he got rid of them before they could say
They
it.
said it. That's
As you
true.
know, if they
That's
were
true.
black, he probably got rid of them.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Anyway, let's go to Sean for got a minute, and we'll come back and we'll do a second round here. Sean,
Okay.
I hope you're ready. If you got a minute, come on and give it to us. We appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Good morning to everyone joining in with us. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute. It's our 300th episode. Think about that for a minute. 300 times people have shown up, they've been recorded, and they've shared ideas and thoughts that might help someone else. We celebrate milestones because of the numbers attached to them, but the number really isn't the achievement. The achievement is the consistency. One conversation, one decision, one step at a time. 300 episodes didn't happen overnight. They happened because people kept showing up. So, here's a reminder. Don't underestimate the power of staying consistent and showing up for something, anything, everything that matters to you. The work you did today may not seem significant, but one day you will look back and realize those small, ordinary moments became an extraordinary legacy. Thank you all for joining in. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute.
Really
300 episodes. My goodness, Tom. It's hard to believe it's been that long and that many shows. It doesn't seem like it.
well, and I'll give credit to you guys and that you've been here for 300 episodes, and you know, we've got a pretty good team here that works well together and continues. And I want to make sure that we give thanks and praise to Sean and to
Yes.
Emily. And I
Absolutely.
think we've announced that Emily had a baby. It's a boy. Bodie is his name. I hope I said it right. And she's resting, and so we look forward to her coming back. But we're in no rush because we're not in a rush. So anyway,
Right.
I just want to thank everybody for what they've done for these last 3, 4, 5. I think it's been 5 years. It'll be 6 years.
Yes.
First of
September. Yes.
And
Wow.
so thank everybody. It's been great. So, and Sean, that was really good. So thank you.
It was.
Okay, so let's go to the round table, and we'll just continue with our comment with the 300th show. So if you guys got something, let's go. You know, I wanted to say something. I talked to a guy the other day, and he was telling me, and we were talking about the state of the nation. and he was talking about how people talk about all these things that he said don't matter. And he was giving me a hard time about people talking about things that happened in the past and historical things, primarily things that happened around racial issues in this country. And I said, well, let me just explain it to you this way, man. It was my experience in life.
Right.
I didn't make this up. This is what happened to me.
Right.
And so I understand that you're from little old town Get Back, Alabama, and you didn't experience this. You probably did because you had the people in Get Back couldn't talk back
Right.
and Get Back. But when you realize that this is something that people lived, then you don't have the right to try and take it away from them.
That's
You
right.
know. So anyway, and I say that along the lines of I saw this thing with Nolan Wells, the young man in Mississippi who was killed. I was in a movie called Murder in Mississippi, and it reminds me of that. My character in that in that film literally got the shit beat out of him because they didn't like what he was saying, and it was very interesting the night we shot that because they had some rubber baseball bats that they would hit you with. And yeah, they were rubber, but shit, they were still baseball bats, and
Still hurt, right?
Right.
But and you this is your job, so you're working that night, and the guys who were beating me were so apologetic because they realized how ugly that was, And so every time we'd shoot a scene and they'd be hitting and I had all kinds of pads on and stuff, so it didn't
Right.
necessarily they didn't injure me or anything, but it was based on history. It wasn't based on we're making this up.
Right.
This is what happened. And
Yes.
so when you talk about stuff like DEI and all that stuff, a lot of people have lived this, man, and they didn't make it up. So anyway, I just signed it because last week, I don't know, I'm sure you guys saw it, that they went crazy with this Nolan Wells thing about this audio tape that they supposedly heard where you couldn't hardly hear what they were saying. But you could hear somebody say, "Is he dead?"
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know how they're going to solve that situation. But again, as we said earlier, people jump to conclusions, negative conclusions, because it was Mississippi. That had always been a negative when it comes to racial issues and so on and so forth. So I'll defer to you guys.
Well, I echo your sentiments and comments. It's always baffled me how someone that has not endured what you've had to endure can tell you how you should view what you endured. And when I find myself engaging in a conversation with someone like that, I realize that I need to consider the source, and I just disengage is what I do, because that's a conversation that you can't make any sense out of if they have that attitude coming in. So
It's sometimes that attitude is because they're just ignorant of the facts, Michael. I do my best to try to educate them, but then if you see that that's not going anywhere, yeah, you just disengage because that's the best thing to do.
yeah,
But yeah, so some of it is just pure ignorance. They don't know any better. So
yeah,
for whatever reason, they didn't learn the history, the true facts, and believe that some of those things were false. So after you try to educate them and explain, now this is real, some people will take that information and you can sort of change their views. Others have no desire to want to know what the truth is. So
true.
that's the difference.
True. Hey Tom, I started laughing when you were telling your story. That I just want to go back and correct that when you're talking about with the bats and stuff.
Yeah.
And they were apologizing. It reminded me of a guy from Auburn that went down to Alabama State and he pledged Kappa down there. You know how they're supposed to haze you and stuff and kick you behind and all this. And so Tony was going through it, and so they beat him and stuff. And one guy was just getting off on him and stuff. And so the guy didn't know Tony knew had a black belt. So after it was over with, the next morning, Tony went and knocked on this guy's door and threatened him and said, you do that stuff again, I'm going to kick you behind. Legend or not, I want you to understand that. And I just thought about you getting up and time out and say, hey, you hit me with that bat one more time like that, I'm going to take it and I'm going to beat you.
Yes.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience. It was an interesting night, and those guys, and it was a hard thing for some of them. Some of them, maybe it wasn't as hard, but
Right.
but that was their job that night.
Yeah,
Right.
understood.
And it was again, I feel like Mississippi has earned this reputation from how it's behaved
Unfortunately, yes.
over the years. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah. We were talking about the 300th show, and we had two topics. One category was the 3 to 5 favorite moments, and one in the 3 to 5 top guests. I got to tell you, one of my top favorite moments was when Tom opened up his monologue telling us about Travis. That was hilarious.
oh Travis, I love what she said. Travis, take that damn mask off.
I was gonna say you might want to go into some detail when the people don't know who Travis is, but yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yes. That was one of my top favorite moments. And I tell you, I got a kick out of when we had Bruce Pearl on, Tom, and that was the team that he ended up taking to the Final Four before, and he came on and he sat with us, and we started talking to him about how he changed the style of his team's offensive attack from the year before. It was inside out because he had some bigs, and now he had a guard-dominated offense and stuff. And we started telling him about that, and he was surprised that we knew that stuff.
Yeah,
and the look on his face, that was what I got a kick out of that. And then he made a comment like, "Well, if this radio thing don't work out, y'all can come do this over here." And I thought that was pretty funny.
That was. He needed you on the team, Michael. He needed you and Tom to help out. He should have hired you guys to be on his coaching staff.
I bet we could probably recruit some better players about
sure.
now.
Sure.
But anyway.
That's
one of my favorite shows was, we talk a lot about Auburn here on the show, but Harvey Glantz, who was a dear friend of all of ours, who was on our show, and then just maybe even a month or so later, passed away suddenly of a heart attack, and that was
a hard,
gut wrenching. That was hard. But, he'd accomplished so much in a short period of his life, and to have him on our show was such an honor. And then again, for him to just collapse and die just a couple of weeks after that was that was difficult.
Yeah,
I
and Harvey had such a zest for life.
Yes.
He seemed so
Yes.
up all the time,
All
and
the time.
yeah,
Yes.
it was just an inspiration just talking to him for me
Yes.
because he had such a positive outlook on stuff.
well,
Sorry.
and Harvey came and spoke to the
Trailblazers.
the Trailblazers, yes, and
Yes.
one of the guys who had been there in the '70s, who
Yes.
athletes who are now overlooked, and he gave such a great talk, man.
He
President
did.
Roberts was so impressed with him, and so on and so forth. And
Yes.
then, like you said, short time after he was gone.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. As a matter of fact, I had a moment. I was at the gym one day working out, and this young kid was over there, and he was working hard on his biceps and stuff, and I just happened to be doing it. And he comes over to me, and he said, "Man, how'd you get so strong and stuff?" And we were just talking. I said, "Well, what are you training for?" He said, "Track. I'm running track." And I think I had on something that happened that had an AU on it. And he's like, "Did you go to Auburn?" I said, "Yeah." He said, and he was all enthralled and said, "I want to go to Auburn and stuff." And I said, "And you running track?" He said, "Yeah." And he says, "Will you show me some stuff?" I said, "I tell you what, I've got something better for you." I said, "Since you're running track and you want to go to Auburn," I say, "You go home, pull your phone out, and you Google Harvey Glanz." I said, "He went to Auburn, won a gold medal in the Olympics, was one of the fastest men in the world." I said, "Go look at what he did, and you copy what he did, emulate what he did, and you'll get there and stuff." And he just had a great time talking to me, and I happened to see him like 2 months later, and he hollered at me and all that type of stuff. But the fact that I was able to use Harvey as inspiration for him, even after he's gone, and say, "Hey, this is what you need to emulate if that's what you want to do,
Yes.
is run track." So that was a good feeling for me.
Absolutely.
Another one he can emulate is Clifford Allen.
That's
True.
true.
Yeah.
Yes.
The one
True.
point
Yes.
fastest man in the world at 60 yards.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was one of those trailblazers, guys
Yeah.
Absolutely.
in the '70s that somehow or another the university seems to have forgotten them. There's nothing that I've seen in the athletic department that talks about those guys
Right.
who
That
gave
was
a
also
lot.
one of my favorite shows when the Trailblazers came back and was a guest on the show. That was lots of fun and great conversation. Uh, Again, we knew all those guys, and to be able to share that information with the world was that was fascinating. To see some of the things that you all had endured and gone through, Tom. We were students at Auburn. Of course, we had our own issues to deal with, but some of the things you all dealt with in the athletic department was even more interesting and difficult. But
And you listen to the stories and you realize. I think what was so interesting was the university was pretty much set on the fact that they were going to treat everybody the same,
okay,
and we've never been treated the same.
right,
And
never.
most of the I think I told you guys when we had this ring ceremony about a month or so ago,
Hmm.
and the guys got up and introduced themselves, and most of the guys were from little towns
Hmm.
in Alabama, and most of the black guys were from larger cities, and but Auburn took this position that they were going to treat everybody the same, and they weren't going to do anything to make this transition easier for everybody, not just for the black guys, the black kids coming, but the white kids as well, because they were having to adjust to something they'd never had to adjust to.
Right.
And so it would have been, it could have been a lot. Well, I don't know if easier is the right word, but it could have been very different
Yes,
if there had been some program to ease everybody into the transition,
right.
and that didn't happen. So, but that's my thoughts on the 300
Yes.
300 show.
Well,
I thought it was great when we had that woman from Turkey. Or when
oh
was she from
yes,
Turkey?
yes, yes. She
India,
was an
India,
Indian.
India. Okay.
yeah,
We had
India,
the guy from Ghana,
yeah,
and
Yes,
we were going. Well, how did they find us? But they found us,
yeah.
and
right, right.
so that was great.
Of course, I
Um,
always enjoy our holiday show with Santa and Nathaniel
yeah,
Rutledge, and of course Eric Jones and 25 Days of Christmas. Holidays
Yeah.
are my favorite time of the year. So
Mm.
any show that involves some holiday activities and fun stuff has been fun. And another one that was great that I really enjoyed was we did that Father's Day special back in 2023 where we had people send in pictures of them with their father, and we sort of talked about our experiences with our fathers growing up, our grandfathers, the father figures in our life, and that one was also a great memory that I truly enjoyed.
Mm. Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't say one of my favorite shows was the one we had when my daughter Michaela was on,
Yes,
and
that
mhm.
was
she and
good
I got a chance to
also.
go back and forth with each other, and you
Yes,
guys watch us spar. We happened to do that, but that was fun. It kind of took me back to the days when she was playing high school basketball, and I was the announcer and introducing
yes,
her and stuff. So that was fun to do that. So
yes,
that was one of my
awesome.
favorites.
I enjoyed. I guess it was the show where we had Cedric and
Mitzi
Reese,
and yes,
myself, and Mitzi.
yes,
We were the four blacks who had played for Suge. And Suge was the coach for 25 years.
right.
It was his it was a first for us as the athletes. It was a first for him as the coach, and
Coach,
probably some of
yes,
the other coaches as well. You
right.
know, so it was interesting. But it's interesting now. I got an email from Jairus,
Oh
Cedric's son,
yes,
who is
yes.
the new coach. Goich has made him the ambassador, so to speak, for the
Oh wow, that's great.
alumni athletes. And Jairus sent me a text and asked me if I would show up at this thing. And I said, well, I don't know. I may be able to. He said, but you're the oldest black athlete from Auburn University. And I said, but damn, you put it like that, I
Yeah,
guess I have to come. you know, um,
yes.
it's just, it is what it is. And I think about that. I think about, you know, I guess I see that as a responsibility more so than anything.
Right.
What you can give to the others, the ones that are coming behind you. Anyway, I got a couple other things here. Well, let's talk a little bit about Nolan Wells. What are they going to do with that thing? Barbara, you generally have all that kind of information. What?
Yes, I've sort of gotten a little bit behind in the news. I had people in the hospital, several people, family members in the hospital this week, so I didn't get a chance to watch and see the headlines as much. But I'm not sure where this is going, Tom. I mean, again, I've always felt from the very beginning there was some foul play involved. And they had this audio engineer, I think I mentioned it on the show last week, that took the recording from the CETO call where the person on the boat had called and said that they were having problems. That they were getting water in the boat, and this audio engineer took the recording of that call and listened to the background noise. She said that when she listened to it, one speaker or something had the background noise and the other one had the actual caller different voices on it. And when she quieted one side and listened to the other side of the audio, you could hear clearly, or what seemed to me to be clear anyway, what was being said in the background. And the conversation in the background was basically saying, Bart, you killed him, or, is he dead? Oh my God, Nolan, wake up, wake the F up. And, so that to me says something definitely happened to him on that boat. It wasn't just a drowning that they're trying to make this appear that it was. So I'm not sure where it's going to go. I think all the evidence is pointing to the fact that there's some foul play. Someone's definitely responsible for his death. But where it's going to go, I don't know. One of the parents is a judge. I think another of the children who's on the boat, dad is a doctor. So there's a lot of prominent people involved. They have a lot of power and influence down there in the Mississippi Gulf Coast. So who knows who they paid off, who they bought off, what's being said or done. But I will always believe that there was definitely some foul play involved. And, I think that they have presented it to the grand jury. Where it goes from here, I don't know.
See. I think also that there was something that went on, and I think hopefully that'll come out at some point.
I hope so.
What actually happened? They kind of threw this thing in that he was with this girl, and then now we've kind of come to realize I don't think that had a whole lot to do with it.
Right.
Maybe they were friends, maybe they were boyfriend, girlfriend. Who knows? Who cares?
Yeah. Supposedly he just met this girl. They didn't know each other. He just met her. Again, this is all backstory, but and the word is that she was the ex-girlfriend. This girl was the ex-girlfriend of another guy who was on the boat.
Yeah.
And he became jealous of the fact that Nolan was talking to this girl. So that was the young man Bart. That's again, this is all hearsay, but supposedly this was Bart's ex-girlfriend that Nolan was talking to, and he was upset about that, and that may have played some role into him being upset and supposedly choking him. And so again, hearsay. I don't know if any of that is true or not, but if it is, it certainly points to the fact that there's some foul play there.
Well, let's throw a couple other things in the fire before we have to get out of here. A man who gave his son an assault rifle that the son then used in a mass shooting at a Georgia high school in 2024. That man was sentenced last Thursday to 15 years in prison.
Mm-hmm.
He deserved 15 years or more.
Yeah. I'm familiar with that. It happened not far from where I am here.
Right.
And there was signs that this kid needed some supervision or some intervention, maybe I should say. He had transferred from one other school where he had some issues at the other school and then transferred to this school. Somehow the paperwork didn't get transferred with him that would have kind of flagged some of this attention, I think. But anyway, he went there. But the real issue is the fact that his father was an enabler, and his father knew this and went ahead and gave him these guns for Christmas, which was just totally idiotic to do a thing like that. You set your son up, for failure by doing this. There's a reason why you call the parent and they're the child.
Exactly. Right.
I mean, so do your job, right?
Right.
And so I believe in this. He should get that. He should have known better than to do that.
I agree. And then the son even says he says his dad attempted to take the gun from him and then locked it up. Supposedly he said, but I knew where it was. I knew where the gun was. I knew where the key was. So he said, he really didn't do much to keep me away from it. So yeah, the dad
he didn't really. Yeah, that was a feeble attempt. That was a feeble attempt. Okay. Yeah.
I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Why would you do that? We grew up in the house. My dad had a double-barrel shotgun. Matter of fact, I have it now. It's in the closet up there. But and we just knew not to go in there and touch it.
Exactly.
Not shoot it. You couldn't
Not
touch
to
it.
touch it. Yeah,
You
exactly.
couldn't go in there and say, "Hey, what is this?" You know. And it was just off limits, man.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had guns in our house as well, and we knew exactly where they were, but we knew better than to touch them. That was totally off limits. Even I had three brothers, and they never attempted to try to pull the gun off the rack where my dad kept it. They knew better. They knew they were going to get in trouble if they did. There were
Yeah.
consequences there.
Yeah. I'd say that the realization that I had done the right thing was when Michael was going through his phase and having problems, and he had a gun, and that his mother's mother gave him, his maternal grandmother gave him a gun, and he riding around in the car and shoots the floorboard of the car. And I said, fool, you'll kill yourself. What are you doing riding around with this gun in the car and it go off and hit the floorboard? I said, it could have hit something, ricochet, and killed you.
Exactly.
And one time he shot the sofa at his place and stuff. And so I was with a counselor with him, and we were talking and stuff, and he was talking about, his panic for having a gun and all this. And she asked him, where did he get it? And he said, oh, from my grandmother on my mother's side. And so she looked at him and looked at me and said, well, did your father have a gun with you guys growing up? And he said, no, never did have a gun. So yeah, I was taught this from my mother's side of the family. And so then I said, Michael, you're wrong. I said, I had a gun the whole time you and Michaela were growing up in the house. You didn't know where it was.
Right.
I said it was right there in the room, up on the top shelf. The gun was one place and the clip was another place. And I was the only person that knew where the clip was. And I didn't have them both at the same place. And it was out of your reach. And he was just shocked. I said, the responsible thing to do having a gun is not letting everybody know you have a gun. Right. That's the first step of responsible gun ownership. And we were there having this conversation because he thought he was bad, Tom. He gonna get out there and he's from the hood and he's rough and he's trying to wheel and deal a little bit and talking about they go and sit down and have this meeting and he pulled his gun out and put it on the desk and the other guy put his gun on the desk. I say, fool, you don't do that. They'll grab your gun and shoot you with it.
Exactly. Right.
So I said, okay, we got some problems here. I need to educate you on some stuff.
Right.
I knew better.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
My daddy let me, remember when people would shoot on New Year's Eve?
Yes.
We had woods behind our house, and so my dad would go out there on New Year's Eve, and he'd shoot a couple of times up in the air in the woods. Mm-hmm. And so I asked him, I was about 11 or 12, let me shoot it one time, Dad, let me shoot it. He said, no, it got too much of a kick. I said, yeah, let me, so he let me shoot it. That thing kicked me up against the house. Shit, man, I thought I had broken.
You didn't want to shoot anymore?
He said, you want to shoot again? I said, no. I ain't never shot it since then. That's all right, Dad. I shot it one time.
Yes, that's enough.
Let me tell you a couple of other quick things here. I want to say congratulations to Associate Dean in the School of Nursing, Felicia Bowen. She's a former long-term client of Best Girl. Felicia has earned tenure, which is a big, big deal. Awesome. And we're proud to have worked with her over the last 5 years or so.
That's great.
The other thing is, I read this story about working in the Coast Guard when people go out and they rescue people in boats or whatever, and you show them how they go down and they get them and they rescue them off the boat or whatever. This guy, they talked about the impact of a wave coming up and hitting you, said has the same impact as a head-on car crash, and that it has caused a lot of those guys who work rescue to have PTSD. And so this guy talk about guns, took his gun and shot himself in front of his wife and children and killed himself because he was he wasn't all the way there, man. He had been working for X number of years on this work and rescue and wasn't all there.
That's sad.
So either one, you got anything else?
No, something.
It was interesting. Okay, well, we will move on, and I think we will close out then. All right. In closing today, I want to give thanks to the team, to Michael and the Barbaras, Sean, Emily, and Joyce. I've always said a one-man show is never a one-man show. It takes a team. And we've got a really good team here for 300 episodes. And I just thank you guys for what you've done. And that's our show for today. So we want to thank the audience. We appreciate you. Thank our sponsor, Best Girl Inc. Thanks again to the team, Barbara, Sean, Emily, Michael, Joyce, and Barbara. And as always, special thanks to the audience and all of you guys and girls in the chat. We appreciate you all being here. Many of you have been here for 300 episodes.
Yes.
We appreciate it. And that's it for this August the 4th of the year 2026. Remember, a day without a smile is a day wasted. Enjoy yourself. Make every day count. Stay safe. Blessings.